Hello, everybody. I'm Ricky Smith. Welcome to Faith on Friday Presents. At Faith on Friday Presents, we're all about highlighting inspiring people, engaging topics, and small businesses. And while you're here, don't forget, like, subscribe, and share this YouTube channel, as well as like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. Okay, all of you aspiring musicians, you've seen them on stage, you've been to their concerts, you may have seen them in church, but have you ever thought about playing an instrument yourself? Where do you go? Who do you talk to? And what instrument should you play? Today, I'm going to introduce you to somebody who is a bass player, a recording artist, as well as an instructor. Everybody, please say hello to Mark Fowler. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Great. Thanks so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it. Mark, we're going to talk about all things music, namely your music. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located.
Well, I'm located in the great Northeast El Paso area, um, right here in the 915. I'm pretty easy to find, so I mean, just look around for me.
I love it. Thanks so much for that. So, Mark, we're talking about your music. First of all, tell us, what instruments do you play?
Well, bass is my primary instrument. I play the electric bass. I do also play the upright, but I don't currently have one. That's a future goal. I want to get back into that.
Mhm.
I play acoustic guitar, as you can see the acoustic guitar probably behind my head there, and I also do voice lessons because I sing a little bit too.
Oh, I didn't know you did voice lessons either. That's interesting. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. So, Mark, how did you get started playing instruments and what got you into it?
Well, like everybody who grew up here, um, I grew up in Albuquerque, but my dad was a Fort Bliss retiree. So I lived in El Paso from ages 2 to 6. And like everybody who lived in this part of the country, at some point, my parents got me one of those cheap $25 acoustic guitars that you see. Well, now you see them downtown, but you used to see them over in Juarez.
Mhm.
And I loved it. And I thought I was going to be the next George Benson.
Wow.
I really thought I was doing something with that guitar, and I wasn't. But it was my thing. That was, I love playing the guitar. When I finally get into middle school, though, I joined my middle school band. Now, playing acoustic guitar, you couldn't really play in the middle school band,
Mhm.
and they didn't have any other instruments that I was interested in. I needed to play electric, and I did. I said my on string guitar. But my band director, after pestering him for 2 years, my eighth grade year, he asked me, if we gave you a bass, could you come next September learning how to play it? And so I did. Honestly, I didn't know there was any difference between bass and regular guitar in the eighth grade. I thought they were just all guitars, but
Mhm.
okay, you give me this bass thing, I'll figure it out. And I fell hopelessly in love.
Oh, wow.
And so from eighth grade on, I was a bass player. And I
Wow.
played every style of music from jazz to funk. I mean, obviously I got into jazz band.
Mhm.
I got into jazz band by default, not because I was good. I was the only person. but I got better as things progressed.
Sure.
From there, I graduated from high school and went to the University of New Mexico on a
Mhm.
bass scholarship. That's where the upright bass comes in
Okay.
because I didn't play upright, I just played the electric. But they said, well, if you can do that, you can do this. And so they
That is
gave me a
interesting.
scholarship, and I went to UNM for 4 years. I did not graduate, if that's
Mhm.
important.
Mhm.
Long story why, but I was pretty confident I was going to be a big rock star. I knew, Prince was going to come through town and see me and going to hire me instantly, and or it didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, those things just sometimes fall to the wayside. So you said something earlier, which I thought was interesting too. There's a difference between a bass and a regular guitar.
Yes.
I was
Well,
like you. I didn't know that there, I mean, I in theory knew there was a difference, but what would you say? What's the difference between a bass and a regular guitar?
Well, the biggest difference is that the bass is 2 octaves lower. It's the same notes, but it's 2 octaves lower. So it occupies the bass clef space as opposed to the treble clef space. If you're looking at a piano, guitar is the left-hand side and bass is the right-hand side of the piano.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
but the other difference is the bass is generally, guitar is generally played multiple notes at a time. In other words, chords,
Hmm.
and bass is generally single notes at a time. Now, you can play chords on the bass.
Hmm.
Believe me, it can be done, but it's not really the thing you do with bass
Hmm.
most of the time. It's the audible range is too low, so it doesn't really sound as pretty as the
Yeah.
guitar when you do chords. But uh, also the way a bass functions within the course of within a group is
Hmm.
different. Bass generally is kind of anchoring everything. It's
I like
the
that.
bottom. It's just the foundation. And
Hmm.
chords, on the other hand, or guitars, on the other hand, get to do all the pretty stuff.
Ah, I see, I see, I see.
Bass is the
So
building block, but chords is the frosting.
yeah, I like that chords of the frosting. That is so good. It's so true. So now you've been playing bass for a lot of years. Prince did not come through and see you and snatch you up right away.
Yeah.
So tell me about the music scene in El Paso. Do you play a lot in and around the city?
Oh yes. I play with my primary band is a group called the Dream Merchants. We're an R&B and funk and disco unit. We play a little bit of classic rock, a little country, just because you have to. But
Hmm.
R&B and soul, and that's my primary employer. But being El Paso, there's not that much money in it, so I have to play some other things. I also play with a group called the Locomotion Style Band, and that's spelled with two E's if you're looking for it. VTHEE, Locomotion. Locomotion is hard to explain. We
Okay.
do a variety of different covers, but we kind of do our own thing with them.
Hmm.
Um, so it may be a song you're familiar with, but not the way you've heard it.
Ah, different arrangements. Keep it interesting.
And
I like that.
we feature a really talented young lady named Jordan Taylor, who is our primary singer. She's quite good. Uh,
Awesome.
and then beyond that, I also do my own original music. I've written and composed some smooth jazz, for lack of a better way to describe it. Once remember, I said I wanted to be the next George Benson. Well, I'm making headroads into that by doing my own stuff.
Yeah.
I am supposed to be doing a full CD that was actually supposed to come out last Friday,
Mm.
but the production teams I'm working with, and I'm not angry about this. I want to make that clear. I am not angry about this. The guys that I work with are so good
Mm.
that if they say it ain't ready, I trust them.
Yeah, I hear
They
you.
say, no, you can't put this out yet.
Hmm. I love that. At least you're not angry about it and you trust the people you're working with. So, Mark, now people listening and watching, they may be interested in playing an instrument, playing a bass in particular. Where would you say someone to get started? Because did you take lessons yourself or did you one day just pick it up and start a strumming? What would you tell
It
somebody?
did take lessons, and I'm a big proponent of that. Obviously, as a bass instructor, I'm a big proponent of taking lessons. But the whole idea with lessons is, well, first of all, you have to have interest in it. And
Mm,
I'm a big proponent of the idea that you should learn as much as you can on your own and let the instructor be more of a guide.
well, that's good.
I also believe that there's no rule, there's no hard and fast rules in music, and
Hmm.
there's just what works and what doesn't. And if you're doing something, you can get 1,000 of these books. Or
Hmm.
we live in a great age now for music. When I wanted to, like, just using the song "Stairway to Heaven" for example, when
Right.
I wanted to learn that, first I had to go down to Kmart and buy a copy of Led Zeppelin 3 and put it on the turntable and put the needle on the record and listen
Hmm.
and started. Nowadays, you can go to your computer or your laptop or your iPad or even your phone and
Hmm.
type in "Stairway to Heaven," and there's thousands of tutorials, there's tablature, there's sheet music. This is a great age now to be a musician. So
Wow.
I start with the interest, and then find a teacher that suits your
Hmm.
needs. You can hire and fire as many instructors as you want. Uh,
Wow.
and sometimes you can do stuff that on your own that you
Mhm.
can do better than the teacher. And what I always tell my students is, if you find something that works, we'll do it your way
Mhm.
until there's such a reason as not to.
That's so good. That's so good.
As long as you're not damaging the instrument or hurting
Mhm.
yourself,
Mhm.
you're doing that.
Wow. So when you're teaching students the bass, because I'm assuming that's what you primarily teach is the bass, is that correct?
You know, I actually get more voice students than I do bass students, but when I have
Wow.
students, I like that. That's what I like to teach best.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get to that voice thing in a minute. But when you're teaching your students the bass, and you said, let's do it your way, as long as you're not hurting the instrument or hurting yourself, is there a wrong way to play?
Not really.
Okay.
A couple of things that I go by, like, for example, there's a certain hand position that you have to use with your left hand.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look for my watch to remember which one's left and right. But there's a certain hand position.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if your thumb is too high on the neck, for example, I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
this like you can see Faith's neck.
Yeah, I hear you. I got it. That's okay.
Thumb is too high on the neck, that can lead to carpal tunnel syndrome, which means you got to
Oh,
quit
wow.
for a while. And if you don't fix it, then that leads to surgery and things like that. That's a
Yeah.
hard and fast rule for me. That one,
Mm-hmm.
I just said there are no rules. Well, that's one. You're not
Okay.
into the bad habits, but
Mm-hmm.
short of that, no, whatever works.
I like it because you make it sound like it's sort of like cooking. There's no real rules to that, make it taste the way you want. And so it sounds like playing the bass is that. So now let's talk about this voice lessons thing. Who are you teaching voice lessons to? And what makes you a different kind of voice coach or teacher than somebody else that they may have gone to initially?
Well, the thing with me is that I don't feel like I have the greatest singing voice in the world,
Mm,
but because I've had to do it for so long and I've been on stages everywhere from Albuquerque to here in El Paso to Southern California. I lived out there for 20 years,
wow.
Vegas. I learned a lot about maintenance of the voice. I
Hmm.
learned a lot about how to sing for 6 nights a week for 4 hours.
Wow.
Uh, so people come to me for things like that. They learn how to get better pitch control,
Mm-hmm.
how to use the breath more efficiently, so you
Hmm.
don't sing so you're not straining to sing. Uh,
Right.
and that those are the things that I teach. So a lot of people come to me. For some reason, I get a lot of late college, early adults, and they come
Okay.
in for like a week or so and
Mhm.
learn some new skills, and then they go back out there.
Yeah,
I
I
get a
get
lot of
another. Wow, that's cool. Because now, Mark, I've seen you play. I see you play weekly, actually. Because full disclosure, Mark is the bassist in our church band. And I don't mean like the church band that you may remember back in the day. No, it's a full band, y'all, and it's amazing. And Mark, I've seen you play on stage and think, how much fun is it to be on any stage doing the thing that you love?
it's the greatest feeling on earth. I don't think there's anything better that you can do than to be playing along with people that you really respect and appreciate.
Hmm.
And one of the reasons I don't sing at Destiny very often, I mean,
Hmm.
I always remind Karen, if you're short of tenor, you can throw a mic back there, might be, but the group of singers on our praise team are so good that
Yeah.
I think it's better if I just stick with the bass. But it's out there. You never know. You may see me leading a song one Sunday.
Hmm.
It has happened before. So
Yes, that I know. I've seen that happen. So Mark, now you have traveled, you have played on stages, you have recorded music, you have CDs that are out, you have things out on I believe this is Spotify. You have a couple of things out
yeah,
there as
I've
well.
got three singles out on the various streaming services.
Yeah.
And there's three more. Well, like we discussed earlier, there's three
Hmm.
more in the chamber. We gonna get those out pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. So being in El Paso, because you had mentioned earlier that it's not a lot of money in it here, but is the music scene such that musicians can come here and find a band, find gigs? Can they actually make some money out here?
Yeah, it can be done, and a couple of the things. I don't know if any of your listeners watch the various singing competitions, but for about the
Mm.
last 5 years on both The Voice and on American Idol, there has
Mhm.
been a finalist from here. Well, not necessarily
Oh,
El Paso, but somewhere in this general area.
yeah.
One of the best
Interesting.
music studios in the world is just up the road in Tornillo, the Sonic Ranch. The
Uh-huh.
second best one is the one that I recorded at Star City. Uh, People are coming from Nashville, LA,
Yeah.
Europe to record in and around El Paso. So something's going on here. There's
Yeah.
something happening. We don't have a lot of venues like we
Mm-hmm.
COVID kind of killed that, but it's starting to creep back in. And
Mm-hmm.
the dollar figure that you can make per gig is not much, but the the rules are a lot easier here. You can pretty
Mm-hmm.
much do anything you want musically, and someone will hire you to do it.
Yeah.
The example that I always use is that when I lived in LA area,
Mm-hmm.
I was out there for 20 years, and I worked everywhere. I worked tirelessly, played a lot of gigs, did a lot of studio work, and I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. I felt like I was beating
Right.
my head on the wall
Mm-hmm.
because there is somebody as good as me practicing under the freeway. Every 3 blocks out there. There's
Wow.
here. I'm a big fish in a really little pond. I wouldn't say I'm the best bass player in town. A lot of people do, but I don't do that. I think I'm okay, but I have a niche. If you want R&B, gospel, funk, soul,
Mm-hmm.
there's me and
Right, I hear you.
so I got kind of a niche market here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one guy who does that one thing,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of opportunities for
Yeah.
that. Plus, like I said, there's a lot of really organic talent.
Mm-hmm.
In LA, as an example, my friend Derek Bozeman is my producer
Mm-hmm.
and a fellow musician here. He always says that when we were out in LA, we ran into a lot of people who moved to LA for the music. That's
Right.
they came from wherever. Here, there's guys who just got up one day and they were talented and
Wow.
said, "Well, I'm going to do this."
Mm-hmm.
There's more homegrown talent in El Paso than
Yeah.
people has ever known, and
That's wild.
I just love it. So there's a lot of people writing songs,
Mm-hmm.
5 or 6 emerging country artists. There's some jazz players here that I,
Mm-hmm.
they rival the people that I worked with in Vegas and LA. It's better, and they're just happy here.
Yeah.
They want to go in that rat race, and having been in that rat race, I understand their point of view exactly. If I had it to do over again, I wouldn't go out there either.
Lessons learned. Mark, there's so much information that you have and so much that you're so willing to share. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to work with you or just continue this conversation, where's the best place for them to find you?
Well, I'm really active on Facebook for one. You can find me, Mark Fowler, Funky One Productions. You can find either one of those names on Facebook. I have a website, www.funkee number one productions.com. And you can also, like I mentioned, saying you can find me on the streaming services. You can always connect back to me on that. I'm also
Awesome.
active on TikTok for some reason.
For some reason. I love that. Don't worry, everybody. If you did not get Mark's contact information, everything's going to be in the description below. And don't forget, like and subscribe and share this YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. Mark, my friend, before I let you go, we're going to have to play a game.
Ooh.
This game is called What's Your Favorite? I'm just going to ask you a couple of things, and you are just going to tell me what your favorite is. Are you ready to play, my friend?
Dude, let's go.
Let's do this. All right, what is your favorite kitchen gadget?
You know what? It's funny that you asked that because I have this pair of tongs that I got on Amazon, and they got the Teflon coating, and
Mhm.
one side is a spatula and the other side is kind of a spoon. And I
Oh.
just found it completely at random, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing ever."
That is
But I
so
went,
great.
I told a story about that on Facebook, and somebody said, "That's cool. Where did you get it?" So,
That is
yeah,
awesome. Okay. A spoon spatula. I wonder if it's called something. Spoonchula? Anyway, we'll explore that later. Mark, what is your favorite app on your phone?
TikTok.
Okay, I like it. What is your favorite instrument? We already know.
Well, the bass, but listening, I really am a huge trumpet fan for some reason.
That's
So
interesting.
playing bass, but I really like trumpets. I don't know what's up with that.
Okay. So what's your favorite genre of music?
Um, I like funk. I'm a funk guy. I go back to the 70s. I'm Sly Stone, the Ohio Players, Slave, all those.
Wow.
That's really my thing.
Mhm.
Smooth jazz was an accident. And truly, I have a love-hate relationship with it as a format because I think some smooth jazz is really, it's got all those elements of funk that I really like. And I think some of it's really beautiful. And I think some of it's also really sleepy and boring.
Me too, just saying. What is your favorite Olympic sport?
Olympic sport, gymnastics for sure.
Okay. You must have had a great time this past Summer Olympics then, because it was
Yeah,
good.
it was
It,
amazing
it
this
was
summer.
great to watch. And finally, Mark, what would you tell your 13-year-old self right now?
Um, if I had to leave over in, I would say start sooner and believe more in yourself. One of the things that I did over the course of my career, I don't have a lot of regrets. I regret not finishing college, but
Mm,
I don't have a lot of regrets. I've really had a good time. But
mm.
one of the things that I do regret is I put too much faith in other people's projects. Said, I'm going to be
Wow.
part of this. Well, being part of that didn't get me anywhere. And I will be the first one to tell you that with my original music projects right now, I am making music that if I had done it 20 years ago would have
Yeah,
made me a star 30 years
I hear you.
ago.
Wow, that's crazy. It's so
So
true.